Alright, here again with you on the Rich Van Tassel Show. Continue with the games for Week 7, the Sunday games coming up. So right now we have the Minnesota Vikings. They're traveling to Detroit to play the Lions. Injuries. First off the records, Minnesota is 3-2. Detroit, off that first win of the season, is 1-5. Minnesota is not listing any injuries, and Detroit, the only injury listed is Zach Zenner, a running back, and he is on injury reserve. Minnesota is now 3-2. They're looking to do whatever they can to keep pace with the Packers. We've discussed it at length. Teddy Bridgewater only 1,023 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions through the air this year. They clearly put the shackles on him. Are they ever going to open it up for him? I don't know. Norv Turner looks like he's going to stay pretty conservative with Teddy Bridgewater the whole season through. Matt Stafford, he's up to 10 touchdowns, but 9 interceptions this year. So is he going to keep turning the ball over? We'll have to see. This is another one of those games for Minnesota. You have Detroit off their first win. They're going to look to finally get rolling this season. Minnesota has to look to keep pace. It's a division game on the road. Minnesota has not won a road game this year. So they're going to have their work cut out for them. Again, if you want to be a playoff team or do you want to just be an 8-8, 7-9 team? That's going to be the question with Minnesota. I didn't pick them to make the playoffs. I did have them at 9-7 though, and I think this game is going to be critical for them to get above that 500 mark. And I believe they're going to find a way to win the game. I think Adrian Peterson is going to shred up this Detroit defense that is clearly suffering from the loss of Ndamukong Suh, and I think that's going to be the difference in this game. Relatively low scoring. I'm liking it 21-16. I think Detroit is going to clearly have trouble finding the end zone. And that's going to be Adrian Peterson will be the difference as the shackles continue to stay on Teddy Bridgewater. Norv Turner will just not open it up for him this year. I'm wondering what's really going on in that regard. So 21-16, Vikings over the Lions. Next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers are traveling to Kansas City to play the Chiefs. Again, a relatively injury-free game. Ben Roethlisberger is still out. Michael Vick is questionable. The reports are that Landry Jones is looking at the start. Kansas City is listing no injuries. Obviously, Jamal Charles is out for the season as he's on injury reserve. We've discussed how disappointing I felt that Kansas City's been this year. Obviously, without Jamal Charles playing, they're going to continue to struggle. They are 1-5. Alex Smith doesn't look to be the issue to me. His completion percentage is fairly good. It could be better, but he has 6 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. So he's really not turning the ball over or anything. Jeremy Maclin's playing well, over 500 yards receiving this year, but over 1 touchdown. For the Steelers, they're going to look to run the ball, obviously, especially if Landry Jones is going. So Le'Veon Bell is going to carry a heavy heavy burden on his shoulders. Antonio Brown, who's having a very good year, 40 receptions, just under 550 yards and 2 touchdowns. How many catches is he going to get with Landry Jones? Now, Landry Jones is a guy who's been with the Steelers, but hasn't even dressed for that many games in his career. So he knows the offense, but really game action is pretty much falling into him. So we're going to see what happens with that. Pittsburgh on the road with a third-string quarterback, Kansas City, desperate for a win. I'm going to take the Chiefs in this game. Some way, somehow. As far as a score, I'll give you 27-23 in this one. Okay, Cleveland Browns are traveling to St. Louis to play the Rams. Cleveland is 2-4. Rams are 2-3. No injuries either way. Josh McCown, it appears, is going to be the starter again. He only has 3 interceptions with 8 touchdowns this year. His completion on 188 passes, he's only thrown 67 incompletions, so that's pretty good. Nick Foles, his ugly numbers, 81 of 141, 956 yards, 6 TDs to 5 interceptions. Todd Gurley is really having a big year for St. Louis, already 314 yards on 55 carries, a little under 6 yards per. So we said once he would get rolling off that knee injury he suffered in college, he would really start to be effective. Travis Benjamin for Cleveland is having a good year, very underrated year. 31 receptions, 528 yards, 4 touchdowns. This is again a tough game to pick. I think that it's going to be high scoring. St. Louis has certainly shown the capacity that they can score. Travis Benjamin, Janoris Jenkins being the cornerback for the St. Louis Rams will be an interesting matchup. But apart from that, I don't see much defense being played at all. The only thing that I would see is, if you want to even call this defense, is St. Louis just struggling to score because they turn the ball over and their offense isn't very good. Two very inconsistent teams, very tough game to pick. I'll take St. Louis because they're the home team, but I'm figuring that Cleveland's probably going to win this game. Just, off the how much I'm getting because St. Louis has been so inconsistent. But we're going to pick St. Louis being that they're the home team. Again, I like it high scoring. I'm going to go 28-27 late field goal for the Rams gets the job done. Okay, Houston travels to Miami to play the Dolphins. The Dolphins have not won a home game. They're 2-3. Houston's 2-4. Both the wins for Houston have come against Florida teams, the Buccaneers and the Jaguars. Again, pretty injury free, no injuries listed either way. Brian Hoyer is going to get the start again. He only has 2 interceptions this year to 8 touchdowns. 48 incompletions though on 131 passes isn't great, not terrible, but Ryan Tannehill, you look, he has 81 incompletions on 200 passes, so that's not very good at all. He's not even at 60% throwing the ball, which in today's NFL, you got to be better. Only 119 completions on 200 carries, so just under 60%. That would be rounded up. He has the 7 interceptions. You might have found something with Lamar Miller running the ball. He's a little short of 5 yards per carry this year. I look for DeAndre Hopkins, who's really having a monster year. If you'd have to put him in all-pro consideration if he continues this pace, even if the team continues to lose. He has 52 receptions for 726 yards and 5 touchdowns through 6 games. He's really good. So DeAndre Hopkins isn't the reason why Houston isn't playing well. Miami, they came back last week and really handed it to, I don't remember, they handed it to, I believe it was Jacksonville, or no, excuse me, Tennessee they were playing, that's right. They were obviously going to take out the firing of the coach off the bye week. Are they going to continue to keep rolling? Houston, again, they have a lot to play for because no one's really running away with that division. So, interesting game to pick. I think Miami's going to stay on the roll, though, and I think Houston's defense is going to continue to struggle. There's been some concerns about Jadeveon Clowney, but he's not listed on the injury report, so expecting him to go. But even so, Houston's defense has not shown any capacity to really play well this year. So I'm going to take Miami at home to continue to roll. I like it 28-16 as Houston doesn't find the end zone. New York Jets, the 4-1 surprising New York Jets travel to New England to play the 5-0 Patriots. Only injury is for New England. Matthew Slater, the wide receiver, is listed as questionable. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he is turning the ball over. It's not costing him this year, but this is a game where it would cost him. He has 7 interceptions to 9 touchdowns. Tom Brady, 14 touchdowns to 1 interception. He's really been spectacular again this season. Chris Ivory has been a very impressive running back, well over 5 yards per carry, close to 6 yards per carry, 83 carries for 460 yards. That's 4 touchdowns, with 4 touchdowns. Garrett Blunt, 49 for 249, so he really hasn't been playing as well as you would expect LeGarrette Blunt to play, but that's because they're throwing the ball so much because Tom Brady's just completing everything in sight. Brandon Marshall, 37 receptions, 511 yards for 4 touchdowns, is the top receiver, and they're going to need him to play well because I think that the Jets are going to have to win in a shootout. Their defense can neutralize Tom Brady enough to keep him in the game, which we talked about their defense good on all 3 levels. I would expect to see Darrelle Revis possibly take Julian Edelman in the slot or whoever the slot receiver is because we know that's where Tom Brady likes to go with the ball. So if they can shut that down, it wouldn't surprise me if they're putting Darrelle Revis there. You have Antonio Cromartie on the outside, so you're not really losing much in that regard. The Jets are an interesting team. You shouldn't be surprised they're playing this well with the defense they've had. I had them at 6-10, but I told you that this team was not devoid of talent. If they got rolling early, which they have, this team could make some noise this year. So they're basically playing right into the prediction I had for them coming into the year. Are they going to get the win in this game? They're going to stay close. I don't give them the win because New England's at home, and I think Tom Brady wants this one too bad. But I think there's going to be a Ryan Fitzpatrick turnover that costs them. The Jets can overcome turnovers against poorer teams with how good the defense is. They can't overcome it against New England. taking it 28-24. Tom Brady Magic lead. All right, so that is it right now for the games. For this segment of games, we're going to come back with the 4 o'clock games, the later games in the day, as well as the Sunday night games. So we'll be right back with you in just a moment, and be sure to stay tuned for that.